Hi there. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the VLOOKUP function in Google Sheets and in Microsoft Excel too, in order to look for information that already exists inside of Google Spreadsheet. Now, the VLOOKUP function is a little bit more advanced as far as Excel lookup or Excel functions go, or Sheets functions. It's a little bit trickier to learn the ropes of it, but it's immensely useful. I've read that actually when recruiters are looking to hire folks who are proficient in Excel, they often use VLOOKUP as a test to see how proficient someone is in Excel. If they know about this function, if they know how to use it well, then that marks them as a moderate to an advanced skill level Excel or Sheets user. So I think the easiest analogy to use when talking about VLOOKUP is the analogy of a phone book. So if you're old enough to remember this is what phone books used to look like. And you would look up a person's name that you were trying to find in the phone book, like Oak Park Real Estate here. And then you would, once you found their name, they're all alphabetized, you would look over and then find their phone number over here on the right-hand side. That's what VLOOKUP does with an Excel sheet. You give it a name like Oak Park Real Estate or Barack Obama, and then it will look it up in another sheet that you've got where you have a bunch of contact information or any kind of information on somebody. And then it will give you that person or that entry's phone number or whatever other, or address or whatever piece of data you're looking for. So here's an example. Let's say that I'm working in development and I have a list of donors who've given money to the science schools in 2016. It's been a slow year. We've only got 10 of them, and for anonymity's sake, we'll just use their first name. So I've got this list of donors, and unfortunately I don't have any contact information for them. I've neglected to get their phone numbers or addresses or city or state or zip or email. All of this is blank. So I need to get this information from somewhere. So I could just try and track all these people down, but there's a good chance they might have given us money last year. So I'll go look at our list of 2015 donors and see now if they're on this list where I've got all this information. Now, I could do this by hand, right? Like I could say, okay, well, my first person on here is Judy, so I'll go to this 2015 donors list and I'll look for Judy, and then when I find her, there she is. So now I can get her information, copy and paste it onto this sheet, and then I'm done. And now I move on to L, and then I go to 2015 donors, I look for L. Like you could see how you could do this by hand, but imagine if your index of donors wasn't just 20 or 30 records, but if it was hundreds or thousands of people. This could take you a really long time. And likewise, if the list here, I only have 10 names, but what if I had 100 names or 200 or 500 names? You could see why automating this process would be a lot faster and would save you a lot of time. So I'm going to show you how to use VLOOKUP to make Sheets or Excel, it works the same way, do this work for you. It's kind of like programming a robot to go and do your job for you. So right here we have Judy, and let's say we're trying to look up her phone number from this list of 2015 donors. We want to see if she's in the list, and if she is, we want to look up her phone number. So in order to invoke a function in Sheets or Excel, you type the equal sign and then the name of that function. This one's called VLOOKUP, like I said, and then an open parentheses. And the first thing VLOOKUP wants is it's going to need what's called it needs to know whose name you're looking for. So I'm looking for Judy's, so I'm going to click on this name right here, and then I'm going to click a comma. The second thing that VLOOKUP needs is it's going to need some information about, and I'll make this a little smaller. Oops, not that small. It needs a range. The second piece of information is a range. And again, Sheets helpfully tells you what it's looking for here. It needs your phone book. It needs to know where am I going to go look for this person's name that's in cell A2. So for us, the answer is this sheet of 2015 donors. It's this range of cells over here. So the way I get that is I go back to my 2016 donors. I click the spot in the parentheses right here, or inside my, my function. I go to 2015 donors, and that doesn't work. Let's try that again. And I'm going to select this range of cells that I want to look at. This is going to be my phone book. Then I type another comma, and the next thing it's asking for is the index. It's asking for the column number where the information VLOOKUP is going to return is located. What that means is what kind of information should VLOOKUP bring back? It's going to look for Judy. Should it bring back her phone number? Should it bring back her address, her state? We want, in this example, to bring back her phone number. And so if you look at this sheet right here, the phone number is located in the second column, B. So the way you tell VLOOKUP that's what you want is you type the number 2. And then the last thing that VLOOKUP wants is it wants to know the answer to this question. True or false is the information that you have in your list sorted. And chances are most of the time you want to write false. When you write true, what Sheets or Excel will do is it'll look for kind of approximate matches. So it might not just look for the word Judy, it might look for other things that kind of look like Judy. And in my experience, it does a pretty bad job of this. It gets really broad with what it will consider to be a close match for the information you're looking for. So unless you have a specific reason not to do this, I would just say write false here. Then I close my parentheses and my function is done. Let's hit enter and we'll run. And it's amazing, it works. You can see that Judy's phone number is 148-282-8941. And the reason it knows that is because what this function does is it says, okay, I'm going to take this name, Judy, that's an A2. I'm going to go to this sheet, 2015 donors. I'm going to look for Judy in the first column. There she is. And then what I want in my function here is the second column. So in the second column is this number, this phone number right here, and then I'll bring that back and show it right here. So that's great. We found one phone number. How can we copy this formula and just paste it everywhere else here? Let's try it. So I'm going to copy this formula, and then I'm going to highlight this whole range of cells and hit Control V to paste it. Oops. Try that again. Copy, paste. Oops. And it actually did a pretty decent job. But you can see that you'll actually run into some errors with really big data sets when you do this kind of thing. So I'm going to actually undo that change. And there are a couple of changes you have to make. I won't get into exactly why you need these changes, but you need to add a $sign right here. You need to add some $signs right here. And then for the column, using the column function is a more effective way to make something that's going to be copyable. So Control C, highlight, Control V. And there we go. VLOOKUP just did a ton of work for me. It went and looked for all these donors in this list of donors and brought me back their contact information, which you can imagine, again, is really useful if you've got a really huge list, giant list of people's names that you're looking for. Now, you notice some of these didn't work. Like for Maddie here, it says NA next to her phone number. Well, Sheets will helpfully tell me what's going on here. If I hover over this cell, I get my error message which says did not find the value Maddie in the VLOOKUP evaluation, which means basically it can't find her in the phone book. If I go over here and look at my list of 2015 donors, you can find this is true. There is no Maddie in the phone book. So in this example, maybe she's a new donor. An important thing to know, and you see Susie is the same deal. So an important thing to know is that there are two things that you have to know when using VLOOKUP that are kind of gotchas. The first one is that the name you're looking for, your lookup value, in your phone book, it has to be in the first column. It's got to be in the very first column all the way to the left of your phone book. If it's not, it just flat out doesn't work. You won't be able to use VLOOKUP unless the data you're looking for, or at least the index you're looking up, is in the left-hand column. So the person's name, or their customer ID, or their email address, whatever you're using to identify people, it's got to be in the furthest left-hand column of your range of information, your lookup table. That's the first thing you have to know. The second thing you have to know is that VLOOKUP is pretty picky about what it considers to be a match. So a good example right here, in our 2016 donors, we have Suzy, S-U-Z-Y, and VLOOKUP can't find her in our lookup table. And you think, oh, I thought we had a Suzy who donated last year. So I'll go back here and look in donors, and you can see there is a Suzy, but it's spelled S-U-Z-I-E. So if the spelling is different, or if the names are different, or if there's a couple of people, like if one year you have Barack Obama as a donor to Science School, and then the year after you have Barack and Michelle Obama, it won't find a match there. So you got to be careful with your data. It's got to be exactly, it has to match exactly. Here's one of the big, let's say I'll add S-U-Z-Y to change that, and then you'll notice back here on 2016 donors, now this works. But one of the things that you'll notice also is that one more gotcha is that if you accidentally add a space after a person's name, so let's say her name is Susie and then I accidentally push the space bar afterwards and hit enter, again, Susie space is not the same thing as Susie. So again, to emphasize, your data has to be exactly the same in your lookup table from your search index in order for this to work. So those are the basics of how to use VLOOKUP. It's actually a really powerful function, and you can use it for all kinds of stuff, not just for looking up address and phone numbers. There are a whole bunch of different other options that we can get into later about how to use it to find information in a different Excel sheet and then bring that information back to you. So if you've got questions about how to use this, or you've got ideas for other ways that folks in the science schools could use this function better, you can let us know by sending us an email at helpdesk@tetonscience.org. Thanks.